I'm Phyllis. I live in my van. Hello, my tribe. Today I'm going to talk to you about dispersed camping. Dispersed camping has some advantages over established campgrounds because you're out more in nature, they're less developed, and it's free. I know some of you are nervous about dispersed camping. You might have a feeling that it's safer to camp in an established campground. So I'm going to tell you a few pointers about how you can disperse camp safely. Another advantage is you can be completely alone, which some of you may like. I do often. Or you can be around lots of other people. In established campgrounds, you're usually stuck next to a whole lot of people. For example, look at this beautiful forest. I'm near the coast of Oregon, and it's otherworldly, breathtaking even. And you don't usually get something like this with established campgrounds. There are two apps I use most of the time for finding camping and especially dispersed camping. The first one is iOverlander. It's a free app and all the information is contributed by users. So you can see reviews about what they thought about it, if they felt safe, and that's an added feature. Information you can have ahead of time before you go. The other one I use is USA Maps, and I'll put a link to both of those in the description. With that one, you can see if you're on federal land and what kind of federal land it is, and that'll help you find dispersed camping. Probably the biggest thing is to go early. Don't wait until just before sundown to try to find your campsite, which is always a good rule of thumb in general. But if you're nervous about dispersed camping, you really want to go early enough where you can get a really good eyeball on the area that you're wanting to camp in. See who's around. Does it feel safe? Look for things that might put up a red flag where you don't want to stay. You're going to want to go in daylight because there's some things I want you to check for once you get there before you decide to stay. The first one is there anyone else around? I suggest either parking where you're completely alone or where there's more than one other rig there. I say that because if there's more than one other rig, someone might see something bad going on, something suspicious going on, and say or do something about it. Plus, that will inhibit someone else's inclination to come cause problems for you. So either nobody else around or at least two other rigs around. That's my suggestion. Another one is I do not suggest looking for dispersed camping close to a town, because what you tend to get there is people going out to party, and that's something that you don't want to be around. There's also one thing that I look for specifically to avoid, and that's when there's men with no women. I'm not saying that all you dudes are going to cause problems, but a bunch of dudes together getting drunk might be looking to cause some problems. And when there's wives around, girlfriends around, that tends to be reduced a bit. That's my opinion. Don't hate me for it. You can have a different opinion. But when I see a whole bunch of guys, I just keep going if there's no women around. If you really want to feel safe, just find a family. If you see like a big RV, there's usually a family in there. And that might be a good thing to park next to. So those are some big things to look out for. Again, you have to see that early. So I'm going to tell you a couple of other things to avoid, and that's signs of partying or drug use. If you see and this is, I'm sure, obvious to everyone, needles on the ground, a bunch of empty beer cans piled up in one spot. Or one time I even saw, and I was out in the middle of nowhere, there's this fire pit, and it was full of empty spray paint cans. So I guess they'd been inhaling those or whatever you do with those, I don't know. So if you see something like that, just move on to the next spot. Go a couple miles down the road. You don't have to completely find a new area, but avoid that spot because that's a party spot and that's not what you're looking for. When you park, I want you to park facing out if there's any kind of barrier. Like if you're in the woods, back up to a tree. Don't drive facing into a tree, because if you decide that you feel uncomfortable in the middle of the night and you want to leave, you don't want someone to be able to block you in. So park facing out. That also means you don't want to park at the very end of a road where it would be, especially like in a wooded area or where there's water right on the edges of the road. You don't want to get yourself into a spot where someone could block you in even 1,000 yards away. So just be aware of that. And I'm not trying to scare y'all, but these are just things that might make you feel better, that you can do, that I do to feel safe when I'm dispersed camping. And lastly, trust your instincts, ladies. We don't have to be the nice girls we were brought up to be, who don't turn around when they hear someone behind them walking, and always have to be nice to everyone. I want you to trust your instincts. If you get a little hair raised up on the back of your neck saying, I don't like this, then leave. Leave, ladies. That's all you have to do. Your house has an engine and you can drive away. So don't be afraid to disperse camp. Try it out. You'll like it. Thanks y'all for coming, and please let me know in your comments what you think about this video. If you have any more suggestions about camping safely, dispersed camping safely, or anything else you'd like to know, please just leave a comment. Thank you very much for watching.